Joining me now is the Admiral James Stavridis. He's the former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO and NBC News Chief International Security and Diplomacy Analyst. He's the author of several important books, including To Risk It All, 9 Conflicts, and The Crucible of Decision. Admiral, thank you for being here. You are uniquely qualified for the discussion that's taken place, I'd say, over the last 3 weeks. There was a real push by the Ukrainians to say something that I paraphrased as, you can't prosecute this war 6 weeks at a time. NATO has to make a decision about what it's prepared to do and then do it now to let the Ukrainians get ahead of this thing, because Russia's a country of almost 150 million people. They can keep sending people to the front. They might be conscripts. They might, they might be who knows what, but they've got people. Tell me what you think has changed in the last couple of weeks.
Well, first of all, good analysis, Sally. We need you in the Pentagon. We need to get ahead of this thing. And I'll give you a perfect example of it. Adding the tanks is going to be just-in-time supply. In other words, I think we'll get those Leopards, certainly, and I think those Abrams will come pretty quickly behind them. The British Challengers are already moving in that direction. That's going to be just-in-time supply chain, if you will. They'll make a big difference, by the way, because they can be masked. They can crunch through the Russian lines. They can defend against a potential spring offensive from Vladimir Putin. But that's just-in-time scheduling. We need to get ahead of the power curve, and here's where we could do it. It would be getting combat aircraft to the Ukrainians. That's the next big need on the battlefield. The MiG-29s are flown by the Poles. Those would be very good in this role. We could train them to fly the U.S. F-16s. The Ukrainians could learn to fly to that, I think, very quickly. That would be an example, your point, of getting ahead, because those tanks are going to be terrific, but they're going to need air cover. And as we saw from the attacks just over the last couple of days, Putin continues to control the skies over Ukraine. So your point is well taken. Let's shine a light on combat aircraft. I think that's the next conversation.
So the hesitance to that, and we've talked about this, you and I, before, because at one point early in the war, almost a year ago, Poland said, we're going to leave a whole bunch of planes on the tarmac, you can come and get them, and the U.S. said, not so fast on this. Part of the issue, and it's the issue that Germany brought up, they said, if we send our tanks in, it'll be proof to Vladimir Putin that this is a Western war, this is a NATO-supported war. It's not a war from the Ukrainian side, that they were invaded. But it's that idea that if we escalate, Russia will escalate. And Vladimir Putin does drop this whole nuclear weaponry thing every now and then.
Yeah, and we should not overreact to his nuclear. In my view, it's bluster. He's not going to launch a strategic nuclear attack. He knows that'll lead to the destruction of his nation. Look, I despise Vladimir Putin, but I'll give him this. He loves his country. He is not going to reach for that lever to the apocalypse in a way that's going to cause a nuclear exchange and destroy Russia. Could he use a tactical nuclear weapon? Ali, maybe, but it seems highly unlikely. The international reaction to that would be massive and negative. It would move many of those, if you will, swing votes, India, Pakistan, South Africa, Nigeria, Brazil. It would move them away from Russia. So let's kind of park the nuclear piece of this. I really don't think it's realistic. I think the distinction with fighter aircraft is simply their range. Could they launch and attack targets in Russia, for example? That would be highly escalatory. I think we could restrain our Ukrainian partners. They would certainly be willing to say, we'll use those inside our borders. I think that's the next argument. And for me, the idea that giving them tanks is escalatory, giving them planes is escalatory, we've kind of passed the point of that discussion, frankly. And I'll close with this. Putin owns this problem. He's the one who invaded. The problem is not NATO expansion. That's magical thinking. The problem is Vladimir Putin. Aircraft can help the Ukrainians stop it.
Tuomas Ilves of Estonia was on with me last week, and he said, why are we worried about whether Russia's going to think that NATO's involved in this war? They invaded another country. At some point, that's the reality. The swing votes you talk about, by the way, the India, the South Africas, who may move if Vladimir Putin did something with nuclear weaponry, are all the people who buy Russia's oil. So it is actually important to them because that's their source of foreign currency. Admiral, thank you, as always. Thank you for your analysis.
Ali, just one final point. We all ought to pause and wish our ambassador to Moscow well. Talk about someone who's serving the country in a vital and important job. And by the way, she follows in the footsteps of former Ambassador Bill Burns to Russia, who's now the head of the CIA. Critical job. Very proud of her. Well done. Tough job ahead.
We have to remember you are also our chief diplomacy analyst, and even in war, diplomacy is one of the most important things. It's often how wars end. So thank you, sir. Admiral James Stavridis is the former Supreme Allied Commander at NATO and NBC News chief international security and diplomacy analyst. He's the author of To Risk It All: 9 Conflicts and the Crucible of Decision.